Saudagar. Today we'll be discussing about our operational case study for the exam of May and August 2025. So for this, we have a beautiful pre-scene for Halfpenny, where we make tasty breads, as you can see from the screen. So before starting, we like always we have a context statement that we have to not consider any special events or anything happening in while answering the exams, because the case study exam is more of a real world scenario. But having said that, we should not consider extreme situation or one of events which can make our answers different. So what we have to look at is something which is normal in the business scenario, and when we recommend things, it should be according to a usual scenario. So first we have the table of contents. So if you're writing your first case study exam, being at operational level, I believe most of you will be going for the first time. So what we are looking here is, what is case study exam firstly? Case study exam is a real life scenario where we have to apply the knowledge what we did from E1, P1 and F1 and see it into the real world company. So here we have a real world company called Halfpenny, which is making breads. So for this to play a role in that company, we should know our company, our industry, what is the background, who runs the company, what is our structure, who are the directors, what is their background, how we are doing financially, and what about the tax and other compliance of the country we are located. So that is all given in the pre-scene. So pre-scene is like fundamentals to clear the exams. The worst case or the worst preparation for the exam can be not knowing your pre-scene. Your exam entirely is dependent on this pre-scene. So as you can see in this table of content, we have your role, like a finance officer, what you'll be doing, what is the background of your company, bread industry, how the industry is working, how the industry is growing globally. As we are moving towards a faster and busy life, people are looking for a quick food option. So bread is one of the most eaten food, we can say, around the world during breakfast time, and it is used as a things in a lot of other desserts being prepared, and it is accepted across the society and culture. We'll look into that. Then what are the future trends? How bread started? It has been in for centuries, but having there for a lot of time, it has shaped. For example, from white bread, it has brown bread. Then we have cereal bread, and so many new bread coming up. And obviously, it changed from culture to culture. That also we look at that. Then we look about our website, what we're operating. Are we into B2B business, B2C business, and how our business model changed, the directors, and whole lot of things. So in today's session, we'll do an introduction of Halfpenny and look at your role as well. So let's get started. Firstly, your role. You are a finance officer working in the finance department of Halfpenny. So what does a finance officer do? What is the roles and responsibility? This is super important, because roles and responsibility of individual will change at the position you are. If you're a finance officer, is different from comparing to a finance director or a finance manager or senior finance manager. So usually we have to link it to CIMA exam blueprint, which will we can share in the later classes, where a finance officer role is very clearly defined. For example, as a finance officer, you should suggest on the management accounting part. For example, we can talk about budgeting, we can talk about forecasting, or if you're talking from F1 perspective, the reporting guidelines, we should know the IFRSs that can be used. We should know from E1, if you're talking about, we should know about the fundamentals of the business, the implementation of strategy, the stakeholder management, the technology we can use in, all of this is responsibility of the finance officer. Ideally, we should look at the I can statement, like I can, as a finance officer, do this, do that. For example, I can recommend and implement strategy. I can suggest about reporting standards. I can do the NPV and IRR analysis for the investment. I know how we can implement the technology. I can suggest we can look at the risk and return involved, or we can say the ROI of that. All of this will go as a finance officer. You are principally involved in preparation of management accounting information, as I just discussed, and providing information to managers to assist with planning and decision making. So basically, we are dividing the organization into 3 levels: strategic level, management level, and operational level. We, being a finance officer, operational level, will give them data, will give them information, which will help the middle managers to make the decisions, or that will even pass on to the strategic team at the top, at the board level, to make certain decisions. That is our main role here. At times, you are also expected to assist with preparation of financial statements and answer queries regarding financial reporting and their financial matters. This is where F1 come into place. We should know certain IFRSs. For example, if you're going for lease, what is IFRS 16 talking about? And if you're going with preparation, then what the particular IFRS or IS is talking about. That is our main role. So management accounting is P1, very important. Then this preparation is all about F1, that is again important. And E1 is, combining all of that. Now let's look at our company background. Halfpenny is a company that produce and sell packaged bread. The company is based in Keyland, a small country in Europe where the currency is K-dollar. So there are a couple of things, when we are into certain business, we can be just a retailer, a wholesaler, a manufacturer, or provider of raw material. So what we do here, we produce it. So when you're a producer, the things change. We should know what is our role in the supply chain. If you're a producer, it's totally different from manufacturer. So here we need to understand the business. Though we are a finance officer, but we have to look at the overall business. If you understand the overall business, then we can contribute to our role in a better way. So what we are doing, we are not a retailer, neither we are just a distributor. We are a company that produces and sell packaged bread. Now what we are referring to bread can be different types of bread. It's again not exactly meaning to a loaf or something like that, but we are producing it. So as a manufacturer of it or a producer of it, we'll have different type of complications than somebody who is just buying and selling it. The company is based in Keyland, a small country in Europe. Now we can look at it as England or UK. We can talk about it. Currency is K-dollar. So why currency is important? We don't have a calculation, but it gives an idea about the numbers later on. And also we can use this for comparison to other real world companies. Okay, the company was founded in 1891. So you can imagine it's a very, very old company. More than 1 century, isn't it? So when the company is very old, then we have to see like what the generation is coming of what culture, what type of changes the company has seen over the period of time. When Martha and Bread Halfpenny started baking and selling bread and other bakery items from a single small bakery store. So it was like a small startup. By 1905, there were 3 baker stores, and by 1912, there were 10. All within 12-kilometer radius for the first of the first. In 1916, production of all bread and bakery item was moved to a single purpose built bakery. The company continued to grow steadily in the 1920s and 30s. By 1940, the bakery had been expanded and the number of stores was 30. So they have a humble beginning, and obviously that time we don't have so much of industrialization. There was almost no technology. So it has to be from a small bakery or from a house. People used to sell bread. And who was the primary consumer that time? It was a people or the society we are living in. We don't even have so much of sophisticated transport that people are coming from different places and buying a bread and going. We cannot imagine during that time. So challenges and opportunities what we have during that time is totally different from now. So what we'll be talking now in today's time in 2025 will be totally different. But knowing the background of the company or the secrets what we have or trust what we have built over the decades or century will help us to plan. Fast forward in 1948, Joseph Halfpenny, the grandson of Martha and Bread, became managing director and majority shareholder of the company. Joseph drove significant changes in the company, and by 1952, the company no longer had its own store and was entirely focused on production of bread, which was sold to grocery store in central Kiev. So if you see, there has been a major change happening. What usually company focus, even if you go into different industries, they want to play one role or a very important role in the supply chain. Because if you're manufacturing also, we are becoming a distributor also, we have a retailer also, we are not able to focus on our core areas. If you want to focus on core areas, let's say it's just producer of bread now, let's focus on that. And by the time we have good retailers, we have good stores, they have become sophisticated with the time. For example, if you talk today, we have well-developed stores in the market. For example, in UK, we can say Tesco, Aldi. We have this big supermarkets where people go and find everything. Imagine Halfpenny just running their own store for bread. It's difficult to survive and we'll have a lot of fixed cost. It might be, not that profitable for us to do it. So it's better to just tie up with this retailers. Or we can have some of our small stores, like to get first-hand experience of the consumer, to understand their needs, like a pilot projects we can do. But most of these companies are in this, or you can say in FMCG, they just focus on manufacturing. Then they tie up with the retail brands or supermarket chains to grow their business. So something similar happened during this. So we also need to see what was the overall economic changes happening in the Europe, or how the culture was changing during those time. Until 1952, all bread loaves sold by Halfpenny were unsliced and unpackaged. In 1952, Joseph invested in what was at the time state-of-art machine to slice and package loaves in Halfpenny branded waxed paper. The innovation coincided with advancement in ingredients such ingredients used in bread production, which extended the shelf life of bread loaf. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, 70s, the company continued to grow steadily. So technically, if you see, all these food items were not packaged. If you go like 50, 60, 70 years back, it was not packaged, or it was, people were just taking paper or something else. But when the packaging started, it gives people a sense of branding. Okay, this is a company which I've bought. Then they have some information on that. And also, when they have the ingredients in it, it increases the shelf life. Increasing shelf life was not common previously. Nowadays, we have shelf life of everything. Even we have like frozen food, you go and put it in microwave and you can just eat it quickly. But it was not a norm before. So we were the pioneers of this technology, or we brought in this that shows our risk capacity. We were always ready to do something new, and it gives us the dividend. And that's the reason why we are, still doing good. If you compare this to other industries also, it's very rare we see a company which is, operating successfully more than a century, more than 100 years. Very rare. Why? Because there are so many changes happening in the industry, which is external, internal, through geopolitical issues, that company actually get closed. So we are one of those who have been survived through all. Then quickly, if you see, we are moving from decades. In the early 1980s was a period of rapid growth for the company, principally due to the boom in supermarket. Increasingly, shoppers wanted the convenience of a single store for all their food needs and moved away from high street and small independent grocery stores to supermarkets were often in and out of town locations, which are often in and out. So technically, to save time, people got busy. They have got a traditional job now, like 9 to 5 during this time. So they want something which is convenient. So for us to obtain independently must be difficult. So obviously, we have to tie up with the brand. So we would have some options now: make our own supermarket or just go with others. If you want to make our own supermarket or have the entire control on the supply chain, it would be difficult because we are not manufacturing other products. So we would have gone with the one which is often in and out of town locations we have done. During that period, Halfpenny with Paul Halfpenny Josephson as managing director secured contracts with 3 leading national supermarket chains in order to supply them with the packaged bread loaf. So we have tied up with the top marketing brands. So if you see this, how the things will go, we'll try to understand what our company did and over the time how things have been changing. They will never ask you in the case study, oh, what happened in 1980, what happened in 1990. No, they will never ask. But why we are studying this? You can think of that. The question is to understand the background, how we started. Let's say if you compare to other business, let's say we are into tech business and we started 5 years back, 7 years back, or 10 years back, then it will be totally a different game how we look at it. But now when we are started in 1890s, that's very, very long time. So how we operate will be different. How we evolve with the time will be different. With the information what we have, the secrets we have, and how we respond to change will be different. So this will become a strength. So once the Preseen analysis is done, we have to come up with a SWOT analysis. So one of the strengths we can talk about is our strength to survive during the changes. A lot of mistakes we might have done and how we responses to them, how we learn from them. So basically, the operational case study is more about, I would say P1. P1 is like 30 to 40% of the questions usually come from the P1. So knowing for the P1 is about management accounting, the cost we have, the fixed cost, the variable cost, the investment what we are doing. So for this, we need to know the factory, what it involves, how many factories we have, how big the plant is, what are our expenses or fixed costs associated with that, right? Do we have our own machines or we are leasing it, and how things will change? For example, if you look at the industry now, this is the industry sector. We'll discuss in detail in the later sessions, but I'm just giving you an overview. Now, what percentage of sale is coming from what kind of bread? Now, the bread itself has been very much sophisticated. We have like white plain bread, then we have grain breads, then we have low calorie, then we have like keto, and so many things coming up. And a lot of bakeries are doing their own research and development to come up with for their targeted clients, like future trends and innovations. So a lot of innovations in every industry we see. If you want to survive, you want to grow, we have to come with the innovations which is commercially viable, which the consumer is ready to pay for. That we'll be looking at. So ideally, CIMA case study is very interesting. We don't need to think just like a finance officer. I usually say to students, think like you are the owner of the business, you are the CEO of the business. Obviously, we are a finance officer, but when you're thinking, when you're analyzing the Preseen, go beyond that. So that will give us a better answer. That will give us a better perspective. If you think like a person responsible for that or a business owner, you'll have a different mindset. You'll not only limit yourself to finance, you'll think about HR, you'll think about marketing, you'll think about stakeholders, you'll think about financing. And that's what is expected from us in this case study. So we at Keystone provide full-fledged classes. We don't look case study just like one exam where we do Preseen and jump to the mock, but we feel like we have to have an holistic approach where we focus on E1, P1, F1. Then we also talk about the industry what we are in. Industry analysis is not limited to few pages what they have done here. We have to go to the real world companies. And also we can think about the stakeholder, like we talk about Aldi, Tesco, and other big brands, supermarket brands, how we are dealing with them. So basically knowing the entire business. Then we'll jump on the mocks. Like this, we'll do a lot of practice that will make us exam ready. All right, so that's it for today. It was just an introductory video. So we'll be connecting again on the next one. So if you need any more support, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can visit our website www.keystoneacademia.com, where we'll guide you for the future sessions. And if you have any questions also, you can reach out to us. Thank you, and good luck to everyone for your exams. Make sure you have your fundamentals strong, especially if you're coming through FLP. We might have to do that E1, P1, F1 again, because student think it's just one exam. It's not just one exam. We have to do through all 3 papers. All right. Thank you.